So let me introduce myself. I'm Pradeep Narayanan, and I'm working as a BIM Building Information Manager, Modeling Manager. So my experience is around 9+ years. My qualification is MTech in Coastal Engineering from CEG campus, Anna University. So today, what we'll be dealing with is this section will cover some basics about building drawings. I think ma'am would have already taught you what are the different types of building drawings and all that. So now what you will be seeing in this session today is the practice that is being done in the real civil industry. So in this given 1 hour, we'll be dealing with basic drawings as well as some advanced drawings that are being used in our career. So if you have any questions or queries, you can just ask me in the ending of the end of the session. Um, so I would request everyone to just disconnect your video so that there will be better connectivity. Just if you have any queries, you can unmute yourself and ask me during the query session, the end of the meeting. So I'll be sharing with you some certain screens. So most probably I'll be sharing you a Word document, which will consist of a basic estimation as well as a detailed estimation. And I'll also be sharing you some of the building drawings. First of all, I'll be also explaining what are the different drawings that are being used in our industry. So that also will be dealing with today. So once we see that, then we'll switch over to certain drawings that are being used in some advanced MNC companies where we outsource projects from other countries. We'll be working in codes, following codes of other countries like UK codes. We have UK codes, we have US standards, and then you have Gulf code and all that. So we'll be dealing with that as well. So by this 1 hour, in this very short period of time, I'll make sure that we'll have a tour of all these things that we do in our day-to-day life once you finish your college. Fine. So the first thing which I'll be discussing with you is some of the basic drawings. How can how can you present a normal building drawing? So what are the basic requirements you need to understand first? What are the details you need to throw in a drawing? All those things we'll be dealing with in the first 15 or 20 minutes. So after that, I'll be showing you a real-time drawing where uh, you will have some good future once you learn how it is being done and all that. So unlike your college, most of the colleges that there in Tamil Nadu, there are almost some 530 colleges in this particular state itself, and you have more than 1,000 engineering colleges all around India. So in all these colleges, a person when he's doing a civil engineering, like let's say from first year to final year, the maximum exposure he gets when it comes to drawing is very minimal compared to what is being practiced in the outside world. So that is the main reason why once candidates after finishing their civil engineering, they either go to site engineering, thinking that there is no scope for them in design field. So they what they do is they just jump into site engineering, and then they say that the only job you get after finishing your civil engineering is to do site engineering. So if at all you want to get into a design engineering field, that is when they start to do structural MTech in structural engineering or something like that, thinking that doing that kind of a degree would help them get a white collar job where you can go and sit in an office and work in a software or something like that. But the truth is not that. There are different applications of drawings when it comes to civil engineering. So you need to have an open mind when it comes to drawing. So drawing, actually, studying a drawing or preparing a drawing is not a subject. Actually, it is a skill that you need to master. So when can you master the skill? You have almost, if you're a first year candidate, you have three more years to master that skill. And if you're a final year candidate, it's almost time that you by now you should know how to create a draft a plan. So you may be wondering, I know how to create a plan. I had a lab in AutoCAD and all that. Yeah, that's fine, but still, you can easily draft a plan and all that. But when it comes to commercial drawings, you should clearly know what are the different things you have to present in that commercial drawing. That's very important, and that's a key thing that will differentiate you from a normal drafting person and an expert drafting person. So in the first place, even if you're going for an interview, you don't want to go to a site engineering job. You want to go to a white collar design engineer or drafting engineer or a building information modeler. These are some of the jobs you have actually. So if you want to go to that kind of a job, in that case, you will have to first know how to read a drawing. You'll have to know why you create a floor plan, why you create an elevation drawing? Why do you create an section drawing? First of all, you should understand all these things. Only when you understand all these things, you will be able to read it. So if an engineer is able to read a drawing, then you can easily draft a drawing, because once you're capable of reading anything, then you will know what you have to give for a person who's going to read that drawing. Most of the engineers who pass out from college, they find it difficult to first of all study the drawing itself. So when they go to an interview, you'll be first given a drawing. You'll be having generally 3 rounds to perform in an interview when you go to a civil engineering company. In the first round, what they'll be doing is they'll give you a drawing. So I'm talking about this, not about the site engineering jobs. I'm talking about this design field and drafting field and all that. The first thing they'll do is in the interview, they'll be giving you a drawing to study. So once you're able to study the drawing, after that, what they'll do is they'll give you a tool testing. So tool testing, what do they do? They'll test your tool skills. So what does a tool skill mean? You might have made your resume in a very grand way. You would have put in a lot of skills stating that I'm an expert in AutoCAD, I'm an expert in Revit, or I'm an expert in Tekla, whatever. All that stuff you have added in Revit, whether you would have added that in your resume, whether it is true or not. All that can be tested only by giving you a skill test or a tool test. So what they'll do in the skill test or tool test is they'll ask you to do a job in a given stipulated time. So you and your competitors who are attending that particular interview, they'll be given the same task, and you will be given a certain amount of time, a minimal amount of time, say like half an hour or 1 hour. Within that given stipulated time, you will have to complete that drawing, and you'll have to submit it. The question here is whether everyone, let's say 10 people are contesting in that particular interview. If everybody will be finishing the drawing, yeah, of course, everybody will be finishing the drawing. So it will be that kind of an level only, it will not be that difficult. But the question here is, out of the 10 people, who has finished it as early as possible? That will be the first thing, first criteria to filter you. And the second thing is, once they got some 4 or 5 candidates who have completed it in a very short span of time, in that out of 4 or 5 people, what they'll do is they'll check for the accuracy, how we have created the drawing, whether it fits the scale, whether it fits the given dimension, all that will be tested. So only when you satisfy all these skills, that is when you will be recruited in a company. So here is where all the students fail to do the expected task. Okay, so how do you master it? This is a skill, I'm again telling you, this is not something you study for your grades or something. This is a skill every civil engineer should master. So only when you master it, you will need not go and stand in a site exposed to dust and sunlight and all that things. So if you master it, you can go into an proper MNC company or something like that, where you get an exposure to work in different uh, country projects, where you'll get the exposure of different codes. Apart from your Indian standards, you will also get the chance to know other Euro codes and all that. So let's get into the subject now. So I'm going to first show you a basic, very, very basic drawing. How does a building plan look like in the first place? So let's say I have opened a plan over here. I'll share a plan now. You can just see that. Let's say it is a real estate industry, or whether it is a building industry or construction industry, or you can call it what do you say, architecture in AEC industry, architecture, engineering, and construction industry. Be it any industry, if you consider this drawing to be a complicated one, it's not like that. Now, this kind of a drawing is being drafted by students who have completed their higher secondary, that is +2 or 10 standard. Okay, what they do is, what these local builders they do is, they make them sit, they give them training for 1 month or something like that. They ask them to learn AutoCAD, or they teach them AutoCAD, and after 1 or 2 months, what they can do is they can draft a plan like this. So when a person who has completed his higher secondary or his 10th standard, if he's able to, if he's capable of drawing a drafting a plan like this, then imagine our competition that we have in our field. So if you feel that if you're capable of doing a drawing like this, and if you feel that you're a complete engineer, then you're wrong. You're not even an engineer who's capable of doing a 5% of the task that is there in the field. Let me if you don't know how to do this particular drawing itself, then you know where you stand. Okay, so to be frank, these kind of drawings are being drafted by +2 students. Okay, so now if there is anyone who out of this 20 to 21 candidates who don't know what is this drawing and how is this drawing being drafted, I'll just give a quick tour into this drawing. You'll understand what it is. In the college, generally we get a chance to draw a plan like this. If you draw a plan like this in your AutoCAD lab, your experiment is done, and then you get a grade for it. But once it comes to a complete commercial aspect, I'll show you how it has to be presented in the first place. If this is a sheet, let's say your sheet can be of any size. Depending on the size of your project, your sheet size will depend. It can be A1, A2, A3. The biggest size is A0. The next size is A1, A2, A3, and we have a A4 size. So generally, we use A3 size. In some scenarios, we'll go for A2 and A0. So these are the sizes of the sheets I'm talking about here. Okay. So now, generally in a sheet, what are the different views that these are all different views I'm talking about here. Okay, this here is a floor plan. So floor plan is something you view from the top. Okay, so let's say the building which you're working in is a cake. Okay, so you cut the cake laterally. Now the cake's height is, let's assume the cake's height is 10 feet. Okay, the cake that we are going to cut is 10 feet height. Okay, now you cut the cake at the height of 4 feet and you remove the top portion. And when you see that cake from the top view, this is what is visible. So this is that floor plan. This floor plan will have a cut view range. So now this floor plan's view range is 4 feet because we cut it in 4 feet height. So when you're cutting it in 4 feet height, there's a specific reason why we cut a plan in 4 feet height. Okay, so only when you see the cut plane of a floor plan at 4 feet height, that is when the windows, doors, walls, columns, everything will be visible, even the floor as well. So why should the floor be visible? That is when you'll know what kind of flooring needs to come over there. Okay, so all that I'm explaining to you with the help of a drawing. By the end of this session, I'll create a basic model and I'll clearly explain you how these drawings are being made. Okay, what kind of a tool we generally use in our real-time projects and all that I'll explain now. So now in this plan, if I'm cutting that plan at a height of 4 feet, all these attributes will be visible. So now this is the window here. These black dots are the columns, and then you have the furniture thing, and then you have named different rooms here. So I have named or annotated all the rooms over here. So this is the floor plan. Now, if you closely observe, what are the different informations this floor plan will have is it will have the names of the room, it'll also have the dimensions of the room, and then it'll have the dimensions of the whole site area, and then these hatch patterns indicate what is that material that is being used. Now sometimes this hatch patterns may indicate a grass or something like that, or sometimes it may indicate not concrete, because concrete we use a different hatch pattern. Some landscapes can be indicated. All these hatch patterns, what do they indicate? That will be given in a different place in this plan. I'll show you that. Now closely observe, this plan also contains an arrow here which is named as A and B, or sometimes it will be named as AA or AB or something like that. This here indicates the section, which is, now initially I cut this building at a height of 4 feet in a lateral direction. When you say lateral direction, let's assume a body. If you're cutting along the horizontal axis, that is called as lateral direction. So if you're cutting it in the lateral direction, you get a floor plan, and when you're cutting it in the longitudinal direction, you get a section plan. So now this arrow here indicates the location where we are cutting the plan in the longitudinal direction. Now in this particular plan, if you closely observe on the top, you can see that exactly straight to this particular floor plan, you have this elevation. Now if you see, this should be oriented in the straight line. This elevation plan should be oriented in the straight line. So as I said before, in the floor plan, you get certain informations. You get the name of the room, you get the dimensions of the room, you get what are the different hatch patterns that are being used to indicate what materials is being used, and what are the informations you get in the elevation plan. So when I'm talking about elevation itself means height. So here is where I'll be discussing about the height of my building. So what will be the staircase height? Where is the staircase that needs to be there? And how much height is there between the ground level and the basic floor level of this particular building? You can see that height has been indicated here, but it is just indicating the levels, but there is no height here except for this height here. So they say that each floor is 10 feet of height. So only in the elevation plan, if you see in the floor plan, you have no idea how many floors are there. Okay, you basically will not have any idea how many floors are there in this particular view. So only when you shift your view to the elevation, that is when you will be able to identify that this particular project of mine consists of 2 floors. Okay, now it is said that you have exactly straight to this particular elevation view, you will have the section view. So from where did I derive the section view? You can clearly see that I have made a cut here. So this cut is actually, when this arrow is pointing towards this direction, towards the downward direction, it means that a person is standing here and he's viewing the plan like this. A person is standing in this particular point and he's viewing the plan like this. So if he is viewing the plan like this, in this section view, what are the different things he'll be able to see? So these are the things he'll be able to see. So he'll be able to see this door 1 and door 2. This door 1 and this door 2 indicates the door 1 and door 2 present here. Can you see? This is the section view. Let's say I have an eye here and the eye is pointing in this direction, and the section view will have 2 doors over here. Okay, and then this is for the ground floor, and you can see that the second floor is also typical floor plan. When the word typical is being used, it means that both ground floor and the first floor is the same. Okay, so in the typical floor plan, you can see that you have the same door. So now, initially, when you see this drawing sheet, you might feel, what is this chaos that is being put in front of me? So when you closely observe, the job is very, very easy, because when you have the word typical, it means that you just need to copy paste it in the top floor. And what else is being there in that section view is, you can see that the view has been named like this. So what is the height of the parapet wall? It is 2 feet 6 inches. Parapet wall is something you have in the terrace, which the wall that prevents you from falling down is called as parapet wall, and that it is actually usually 2.5 feet to 3 feet of height, and each floor is 10 feet. So which is the ground floor roof, and this is the first floor roof. All that will be indicated in this particular section view. And if you closely observe, this section view will also indicate what are the different materials that are being used in this portion. So it is clearly indicated that this portion, this height, that is some 2 feet of height from ground level to the floor level, is completely filled with earthen material. Earthen material is nothing but the soil. And then on the top, this slab is made up of concrete. If you zoom it in, you can see that the concrete hatch pattern will be there. So since this is being a Word document, you're not able to see it. I'll clearly show it in a live model. And this here is the sunshade. Sunshade is something we use it exactly on top of the window to prevent the rainwater to fall or come inside the room. So this is what is called as sunshade or lintel slab. Okay, so this is how you explain a section drawing. Okay, and now what are these chote-mote things in the side of the drawing is? Okay, so these are called as detailed drawings. When I say detailed drawings, what does it mean? So just take a note of what is given here. Something to do with the percolation pit. Percolation pit is something we use for creating a sump or something like that. And then we'll have the septic tank drawing over here. You have the column and beam footing. Column details is given here. So as you can see, they have clearly mentioned what it is denoting. It is denoting the column foundation detail. So here, the squares which you see here is nothing but the reinforcement. Reinforcement is nothing but the rods, steel rods that we provide for the foundation. And what are the details that are given here? It states that we are using 16 mm diameter rods. Okay, so you can see some 4 dots over here in the center. These dots in the corner. Just a moment. Yeah, you can see 4 dots here. These dark 4 dots indicate that we are using 16 mm diameter rods. Okay, and when you scroll to the top, this is the section view of the column. Okay, so this column indicates that 16 mm bar is being brought down like this and it's being bent, and this here is the footing, and here in this bottom you have another rod which is nothing but the pedal. We call this as the pedal of the footing. Okay, so again they have mentioned it as the vertical rods that are being used in the columns are 4 16 mm rods, and the horizontal stirrups that are given in the columns are nothing but 8 mm binders. We call that as binders, we call that as stirrups, or we sometimes call it as links. And what is this 5 inch C by C means? These 8 mm bars are placed at a distance of 5 inches, center to center. Okay, that's what this indicates. And this is the ground level. Underneath the ground level, the column has been buried for 6 feet. This is what this particular thing indicates. And in the bottom of this, we have the PCC. PCC is plain cement concrete. On top of it, we have the RCC. And underneath both these two, we have sand filling for 5 feet of distance. So this is what you can see here in this particular view. Next thing what you can see is, you can see compound wall details and all that, and then you have section details for septic tank and soak pit. So this is also very, very important. Now you see here, in this particular drawing sheet itself, almost we are covering what? We have covered the floor plan, we have covered the, what do you call, you have the elevation view, you have the section view, you have the detail views. So as an engineer, you may be wondering that when you're done with all these things, you may think that the drawing is complete. No, it's not like that. On top of it, these are called as texts. So it is very, very necessary for you to put in or fill in all these texts, because these texts are something which communicate about the details of this particular project you're working in. So this project, when you study this project itself, you'll be able to make out that this project is being done in Kanchipuram district, and which taluk it is being done, who is the client here. So the client's name is the one who is constructing this particular house. The owner's name says as Vandana, and where's the address of this particular project. All these things will be needed to be filled in the drawing. These are called as annotation or text. Okay, and coming to the right hand side of the drawing, this is very, very important. This compass indicates the north direction of the drawing. So by this pointer only, you will be able to find out in which direction your house is facing, the house which you're constructing is facing. So this will play a major role in calculating your vastu and all that. Okay, so when this pointer says it's in the northern direction, you can easily calculate in this from this plan that see in which direction the main door is. You can see the main door is pointing this direction, so which means that this house is facing the southern direction. Okay, if the main door is in this direction, it means that this is the east facing house. Now this house is nothing but it's a south facing house. Okay, so I'm able to calculate that based on this pointer direction. So this pointer direction is also very, very important. So based on this compass direction only, you will be actually orienting this particular plan. So let's say if your house is generally the mistake which people tend to do is they'll ignore that pointer that is given there. What they'll do is their house will be facing in the eastern direction, so they'll just put the floor plan like this. Now somebody who hasn't been with this plan and from the beginning, if you give them this plan, first thing they'll do is they'll see in which direction the north is pointing. So if the north is pointing in this direction, if you give your facing like this, they'll assume that your house is facing in the south direction, even though it will be facing the east direction. Now imagine ignoring this drawing completely goes to the site. Okay, let's assume this client is in Dubai. He's constructing a house in India. Okay, he's trusting you and he's giving you this project thinking that you'll do it correctly. Now he's approving this drawing from Dubai saying that he wants the house to be faced in the eastern direction. And you being the engineer, what is your role is you will just study the pointer here, and after studying the pointer, if you just directly follow this floor plan, you'll keep a facing in the southern direction. And once that person comes from Dubai and sees how this house is facing, he will be shocked to see his house is being faced in the southern direction. So you have to be sure with that as well. And what does this portion consist of? It consists of schedule of joinery. So joinery is nothing but the doors, windows, and all that ventilator assembly. What are the specifications for that doors and windows that are being used? And then you have certain specifications here. Specifications sometimes can be given directly in the drawing, but since this drawing is very much crowded, they have opted to give the specifications in this area. But sometimes what they'll do is in the section view itself, they'll give the specifications by giving a leader line. A leader line is something that you use like an arrow, right, to point something. That arrow line is called as leader line. So all the technical jargons that I'm using is something that is being very commonly used, but in a different name. Okay, generally when we do a drawing, if you want to label any part, what we do, we mark a arrow. That arrow is called here as a leader line. So you put a leader line and you can just put the specifications here also. But if the drawing is too much crowded, you can give it in a separate area over here. And then you will have some color indexes, symbol index and all that. And then you will have the engineer details and everything. So this is a very, very basic drawing. And if you have, so I'm going to open a drawing in which we worked in steel structure. Okay, this particular, before I show this drawing to you, these are some of the advanced building drawings. So whatever ma'am is teaching you now, there is topics that she's teaching you now in terms of building drawings, or whatever I have told you now, it's very, very, very basic. Now these are the real drawings you are expected to work after you finish your graduation. Okay, so I'll show you some of the samples of the drawing. So before I get into the drawing, I'll just explain about this project. This is a oil refinery project. So generally the oil refineries are located in the center of the ocean. So we had to construct a steel platform so that people can stand there in center of the ocean and all that. So mostly the steel platforms are made up of steel structures, which you will be studying in your third year or final year. You have a paper called Design of Steel Structures. In that you will be detailedly studying about all that. So now for this particular project, the tools that we use, when I say tools, it is the softwares that I used is AutoCAD, Tekla Structures, and then Revit. Okay, these are the three tools that I used for this particular project. All these drawings comprise into one single project. Don't think that each drawing is a project. All these drawings joined together form one single project. Okay, so if you're being recruited as a draftsman, or if you're being recruited as a BIM detailer or a steel detailer, these are the job designations I'm talking about. So if you're being recruited in these kind of jobs, you'll be working, your job is to create these kind of drawings. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a drawing like that. So I'll open a PDF drawing. Just a minute. So this is how initially we get an input file. So this is the input file which we'll be getting. Just a minute. So are you able to see a PDF file now? Discuss in this 1 hour. I'll just clearly explain to this. If I get a chance, some other session, I'll again meet you and I'll clearly explain you all these things. So now, initially when you are starting a project, okay, we'll be getting an input file like this, and this input file will almost be similar to. Now we are able to see a PDF file.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This file consists of 272 pages. Okay, before we jump into the softwares, before we jump into AutoCAD or before we jump into Tekla or Revit, we have to first study this 272 pages. Studying this 272 pages is not that much tedious task. It's not like studying a 272 page textbook. So what we need to do is first we'll go through the index page. So in this, if you closely observe this index page, what it will have is, it will have various connection details. Okay, column to beam connection details, column to column connection details. Don't think these tasks are very difficult. So these are something which is a repetitive task. So if you're a person who doesn't know to drive a car, if he sees a person who's driving a car, he'll think that it's a very tedious task. So but if you learn how to drive a car, and if you keep on driving the car, and you will understand how easier driving a car is. In the same way, when you see it like this, you will feel that, oh, this is a very huge task, which is very, very tough. But imagine if you get recruited in these kind of jobs, every day you will be spending some 10 hours in this document alone. So once you complete one single project, you'll be able to learn everything from A to Z. You'll learn everything in that. So after that, from the years to come, you'll be working in this same thing. Okay. So now, before we get into the bottom of this thing, you have something called GA drawings here. So when I say GA drawings, it means it's nothing but general assembly drawings. Okay. So the GA drawings is given in the page number 10. So I'll just jump to page number 10 here. So that's how I'll work here. So I'll just jump to page number 10. So now if you scroll down, this is the output from StatPro. I forgot to mention this project is also being done in StatPro as well. So 4 softwares have been used in this particular project: AutoCAD, Revit, Tekla, and StatPro. So initially they'll design everything in StatPro. A design engineer who's experienced for 10 or 15 years will do the design part, and then he'll give us this report. This report will first consist of GA drawings. I'm just scrolling it down. Just a moment. Okay, so now this is the GA drawing. I'll just zoom out a little bit. Okay. Okay, just a minute. So I'm just zooming it a bit. Okay, this is what is called as GA drawings. So in this GA drawing, what we'll have is, don't get scared seeing the drawing. It's very, very simple actually. If you understand what is there in that, it is very, very easy. So now there are some colors, beautiful colors given in this GA drawing. So what it will have is, it is nothing but it is a floor plan of a steel structure. So in this floor plan of a steel structure, what I'll be able to see is, first thing we need to notice, we need to see if you're given with any grid lines. So in this particular view, you don't have any grid lines. What you have is, you have the beams, bracings, and all that. This IP 140, L80 by 8, L70 by 7, all these are nothing but steel profiles. The things which you study in your design of steel structure paper. Okay, so in your college life, you will be studying only about Indian standards, but here the steel profiles that we have used in this particular project, it's nothing but it's UK standards. Okay, so if you want to get familiar with these standards as well, apart from the Indian standards that you study in your college, If you want to get familiar with these standards, you need to come for internships in our office. Okay, I'll give you all the details in how to join the training and internships in our company and all that in the end of the session. But right now, you just need to concentrate on this drawing. So the profiles that are being used, this HEA 200, IP 140, these are nothing but different steel sections. So when I say different steel sections, you would have studied in your second year or engineering mechanics itself. You have I section, you have angles, you have channels and all that. So all these are named in these things. So these GA drawings, what information they give us is what are the profiles that are being used and where are they been assembled. So once I get the input from this particular GA drawing and my job starts there. So what we'll do is then we'll draft it in AutoCAD. So I'm going to open an AutoCAD drawing now. Just a moment. So if you see in that AutoCAD drawing, based on this GA drawings, we would have developed these drawings. I'll just open a sample drawing in AutoCAD now. So each file size, you can see the file size, it will be almost 5 to 6 MB of size. Okay, so I'm just opening a drawing like this. So I'll share it on the screen. So this is that file. This is one of the drawing which we were able to derive from that particular input. So now if you see here, what is that we have in this particular drawing? So now you can see the drawing which we discussed for the first half an hour and the drawing which we are seeing is in no way related, but there is a certain pattern that is being followed here. If you see closely, the one which you have here is the floor plan of that profile that has been drawn here. So now this might be a channel or this might be an I section or anything. So what you see here is the floor plan of that particular drawing. And now if you scroll down, if you see here, you can see that this is a section. So by seeing this section, I'm able to confirm that it's not a channel, it is an I section. So you have the flange here, you have the web here and the flange here. And then these symbols, you need to be familiar with what these symbols indicate. So these are nothing but the welding symbol. And these dots that you see here is nothing but the bolts. So when I'm giving this bolt information here, I should make sure that I give the proper diameter of the bolts that I'm going to use. So it says that you need to have 4 holes with a diameter of 24 mm. So it means that this particular drawing that you're seeing on the screen, this drawing is called as shop drawing. The first drawing, the previous drawing which I showed you is called as GA drawing. GA drawing is nothing but general assembly drawings. The general assembly drawings will not have any details regarding the connection. Okay, but these drawings here will have the details related to the connection. So when I say connection, you can see here that this particular I section has a plate connected here. This is you can see the details. This plate is welded with this I section using 6 mm welding. This is a welding symbol and they have 3 arrows. This portion, this edge and this edge. These 3 edges are welded with this I section using 6 mm welding. So these are the details that you need to give. So imagine you have to create hundreds and hundreds of drawings like this. Okay, this is just one single drawing. Don't worry, we will not be creating this drawing from the scratch. For this, we use Tekla. Tekla will create the model, and what Tekla will do is it will give you all these views. You need not generate these views, and you need not draw these views like the way you do in your college. In college, what do? You draw the floor plan, and it will be you who will draw the elevation plan, and you will again imagine and draw the section plan. But when you come for the jobs like this, you need not imagine or use your creativity and all that. The 3D softwares, what they'll do is they'll generate all these section views and all that. And I'll show you by the end of the session, I'll show you how things are done in that way. And what else this drawing has? Here in this drawing, you have something called BOQ. This is what is called as BOQ. Something to the third years need to know. BOQ is nothing but bill of quantity. This bill of quantity is addressed in different terms in the commercial field. The synonyms for bill of quantities is estimation, bill of quantity, bill of materials, material takeoff. All these technical terms indicate one single thing, that is quantity takeoff. That is how much materials are being used in this particular drawing. Now this particular drawing alone, you have 2606.2 kilograms of steel is being used in this, and these are the different profiles that have been used in this particular drawing. Okay, that is what is there in this particular details. So this table here is something to do, you need to do in Excel sheet, but that Excel sheet can be derived from Tekla or Revit. Generally, estimation, first of all, you need to understand what is an estimation. Estimation is something to calculate the amount of materials that are being used in that particular project. That is what you call it as estimation. Okay, that estimation will give you a clear detail about how much cost it is going to take for completing that particular project. Apart from calculating the cost, you will also have a track of the materials that are being used in that particular project, and that has to be presented in the drawing itself. This table is being derived from Excel, and this Excel will be derived from 3D softwares like Revit and Tekla. Okay, so when you model in Tekla or Revit, you will be able to create this POQ. Okay, I'll show you how it is done and all that. Okay, now you have the client details here. Like I told you before, these are the client details. So all these are German standards or UK standards. So these exposure will not be given to you in colleges, because college that given 4 years for you, it is sufficient for you to complete the syllabus itself. So these are all something outside the syllabus, but unfortunately these are the things that an company expects from you when they are employing you. Okay, they don't expect you to know only Indian standards. They definitely expect you to know foreign standards. Imagine if I want someone to be recruited in my company from your college, I'll not expect you to know only Indian standards, because you'll be working in projects from different countries. So you'll have to be familiar with all the other standards as well. And you may ask me a question, when can I learn all these things? That is why you have your semester holidays and all that. So you need to use that semester holidays effectively for learning these kind of standards and everything. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lively demonstrate how we can generate different drawings, and how does a 3D software help you in generating different views and all that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a project that has already been done. Okay, so I'm going to share the Revit software screen on your started. So this one particular project was done by your senior. He's from final year. His name is Giri. He's also from VIT. So he did this project. Actually, he's undergoing training with us. So I'll just give an example of that thing itself. Now, this particular model, you're able to see Revit, right? Are you able to see the Revit file?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, this particular house plan was created by your senior. His name is Giri. So what I'm going to, this particular house plan, it doesn't have any views or any drawings associated with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how these drawings are being generated. Okay. So now I have, this guy has used almost, he has done 2 to 3 floors here. Okay. So now I have to generate the drawing for the ground floor plan. So what I'll do, I'll just go and simply click over here. So as soon as I click on that, I got the drawing floor plan of the ground floor. So the moment I get the floor plan, I can easily do what? I can easily dimension the walls and everything. So you can see here. So I'm just, you can see how easy it's for me to dimension the walls and everything here. You can see here. Okay. So the moment I select this particular wall, I'll be able to get the dimension like this. So all I need to do is I just need to mark the dimensions like this. See how easier it is for me to place the orientation and everything. So this guy, he has put, for him, it took just 2 days to complete this complete project here. So now I got the floor plan. Okay. All I need to do is, in this floor plan, I talked about that view range, that cut plane. Okay, now this particular floor plan, you're going to see what is the cut plane of it. So if you see here, you have something called view range here. If you click over here, it says that the cut plane is 3 feet. So since it's been cut in the 3 feet, you're able to see the window. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the cut plane to 1 feet. So when I give it as 1 feet, definitely the windows will not be visible. If you see here, so I'm giving it 1 feet. So let's see if the windows are visible. So as soon as I gave it as 1 feet, you saw that some of the objects have disappeared here. Okay. Now if I give it as 0, let's see what happens. So the moment I gave as 0, the walls have also disappeared. Okay. So now you understand how the cut plane works. So again, I'll get back to that same.
Sir.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So one request, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
When students are new to the Revit, no,
Yes,
some
ma'am.
basic comments you just tell, sir.
Is it okay, ma'am? Because since I have 10 minutes, that's the reason why I didn't tell them anything.
They need that, sir, because that is what they are waiting for you.
Okay, ma'am. So
Mm.
I'll just tell them how to explore this particular plan alone, ma'am.
Mm.
Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Only suppose they need to draw the AutoCAD plan, or they can export from there, and they
Yes, ma'am.
can develop the 3D means just some basic comments. They'll
Sure,
give some
sure,
initiatives. It will
sure,
be
sure,
easy.
ma'am. Definitely, definitely.
Oh, 1 second, sir. Anybody have any other class? If you take 10 minutes, sir, extra means you are can able to bear. Achantya?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. We don't have any other class.
Okay.
It's
Free
okay
of.
if I take some extra time. Is that fine? I'm not
Yes,
boring you,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
On your
Yes, sir.
holiday.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, great then. So then I don't mind, ma'am. I'll just clearly tell them how things are done and everything.
Yes, sir. That is what they
But
are
I
waiting.
can't. This short term detailer I can't explain, ma'am. But what I'll
Only
do is
basic.
I'll
Suppose you
yes,
can
ma'am.
open the file, just go to
Sure,
here,
sure, 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 sure,
just oral also sufficient, sir.
sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
Now this thing, this particular model has been already created. So I'll also tell you how to start a model, how you will be initiating a project in real world. Okay. So you have something called, I'll just undo it. You have something called insert in Revit. So when you're working in insert, any company you join, you'll have two teams over there. One will be the drafting team, the other will be the modeling team. So we saw some companies right in Google. So if you want to know what are the different companies, just go to Google and type BIM modeler jobs. You'll see a lot of companies there. If you just go into that companies, you can see what are the requirements they expect from you. What will be the job you will be doing after joining that company. So if you see in that particular job profile, they would have clearly mentioned that as an engineer, they'll expect you to convert 2D drawings to 3D drawings. So when they ask that kind of a requirement from you, what you have to do is you'll have to insert a 2D drawing into this particular 3D modeling software. That software can be anything. No, it's not necessary that it has to be Revit or it has to be Tekla. Depending on the client's requirement, you will have to use the software. If the client is asking you to use Revit, you'll have to use Revit. If the client is asking you to use Tekla, you'll have to use Tekla. But the most commonly used 3D software is Revit, Tekla, and then you have Navisworks. These are some of the commonly used 3D softwares. So it is clever to always use the 3D software that are being widely used rather than studying some 3D software from the out of the box and expecting the companies to recruit you. That's not a clever thing to do. It's always best to study software that are commonly being used. So in that case, so you have an option in Revit called insert. So here you can bring in any files. So now here it states that you can bring in CAD files. So in insert tab in Revit, you'll have a panel called link. This here is called as the contextual menu tab. On top you have menu tab here. You have architecture menu, you have structural menu, you have steel menu, you have systems menu. In that you have insert menu. If you go to that insert menu, you will have a panel called link here. So in that link panel, you can bring in an AutoCAD file. So what I'm going to do is, for time being, I'm going to bring in an CAD file here. So I'll show you how things start. So this is how you'll start working in a project. Okay. So now I'll just bring in a file here, which I worked before. So it is a residential building which we worked in Porur. It is of almost 3 floors. So I'll just show you how to convert this 2D plan into a 3D plan. Okay. So let this particular project also be there parallelly. Okay. So I'll just open a new file now. In this new file, I'm going to bring in that AutoCAD drawing. Okay. So now I'll bring in that CAD file. So you can either link the CAD file or else you can import the CAD file. So when you're linking the CAD file, what happens is the connection between that CAD file and the Revit file will always be live. So when I'm saying it is live, it means that if you make any changes to that CAD file, that changes will be applicable to this particular Revit file as well. I'll show you how it works. So I'll go to insert. In that insert, I'm going to link a CAD file here. Okay. So right now, both the teams, the drafting team and the modeling team, are parallelly working. So they are not done with their work. So they are parallelly working, doing their work now. Okay, just a moment. Yeah. So now I have the project here. So this is that project. So you have 3 floors in this particular project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import or link the first floor, ground floor alone. So this is the ground floor. So I just need to do some rectifications here. What will be the unit that I'm importing and all that. So once I do all that, I'll open the file here. So it will come and get placed here. So the moment it gets placed, so now this particular file has 2 cars. This AutoCAD file has 2 cars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that file now. You can see here. I'll open that particular file here. So this is that file. So right now this is in. I'll show you in AutoCAD. Wait, just a moment. So this is the true AutoCAD file. So in this AutoCAD file, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this one single car here. Okay, there's this AutoCAD file has already been linked in Revit. So this drafting person is making a correction saying that only one car can be parked in this particular plan. So I'm deleting one car. So after I delete it, I'll just save it and then I'm closing it. Okay, so now I'm closed it. So what I'll be expecting is I expect this change, the deletion of one car, to reflect in my Revit file as well. So what I'll do is I'll go to that Revit file now. So if I open that Revit file, you can see that that car has not been deleted yet. It's still there. So what I have to do, I can easily manage that change by going to insert. In that I'll have manage links. So this is the file that I've loaded here. So don't worry, if you're coming for a training or internships, I'll be teaching this in detail. This is actually this topic, this insert topic alone is for 1 hour. Okay, in this 1 hour topic, I'll be teaching how to link a Revit file, CAD file, all the types of files. So showing you, don't think that I'm teaching you this, I'm just showing you. Okay, so this is the file that I've loaded here. Okay, now you have an option called reload. So when I'm reloading it, you can see that that car that was there will get disappeared automatically. So now this is the file. I'll go to manage links and CAD formats. I'll select that. Okay, in that select in this I'll reload it. So at the moment I reload it, you can see that the car has disappeared. So this is the advantage of linking the CAD file and working in the 3D model. So after all these features came, only we are able to see such a dynamic growth in the construction field. We are able to see such a huge projects that are being done within a short span of time. So now if you see it in 3D view, you'll be able to see this plan in 3D view. So how is it easy for me to now convert this into a 3D plan? Just see how I'm doing it. So I'll go to architecture. Okay. So the moment I go to architecture, you can clearly see that in build panel, you will have all the architectural attributes like wall, door, windows, and everything. So now I'm going to develop the walls from this particular 2D plan. So what I'll do, I'll go and click on wall here. These topics can't be taught in any training centers. Okay, so these topics can be taught only in the institutes where they do projects as well. Okay, so now if I want to draw this wall, what I'll do is I'll first give the height of the wall here. I'll say that the height of the wall is connected only up to the next floor. Okay, and then in this draw panel, I have an option called pick line. So the moment I click on this pick line, I'm just roughly doing it, but it requires a lot of precision for doing this. Or what I'll do is instead of picking the line, I'll trace it on top of this particular plan here. So I'll go to wall, I have this option, and now I can just trace it like this. So you can see I'm just tracing it like this. So it will just hardly take a very short time for me to complete it. So I'm just doing it in a hurry. Just see it. So like this, from the scratch, we'll start doing a project. So whatever I'm showing you here, just to accurately complete this project, please take 1 day to follow the accuracy very well. That is when I'll be able to position the doors, windows, and everything. Okay, so now if you see it in 3D view, you can see that I've traced the wall successfully. So the moment I've traced the wall successfully, now what I'll be able to do is, I know where the doors have to come. So what I'll do, I'll keep it in wireframe so that I'll be able to see the door positioning and everything. So what I'll do, I'll select the door, and based on that positioning, I'll just place the doors and everything here. And here I'll place the windows. So I know the positioning. Yes, ma'am.
So what does that wireframe do, sir?
What does a wireframe do is it changes the view settings. So now wireframe is like an X-ray. Now if I'll show it in 3D view, you'll be able to understand it clearly. Now this view here is a hidden line view. When I say hidden line, the internal lines will not be visible. Now, if you keep it in wireframe, it'll appear like an X-ray. So now you can see the difference.
Yes, sir.
The internal edges will also be visible. If I keep it in shaded or colored view, you can see the real-time colors of it. Okay, and now if you're a first year or a third year graduate, or if you're not familiar to Revit, this will be new to you, but it's very, very basic when you start learning Revit. Okay. Okay, so these are consistent colors and these are realistic view. So this realistic view will consist of the shadows as well. Okay. So now I'll keep once again keep it back, keep it to wireframe. So when I keep it in wireframe, I'll be easily able to track the windows positioning and everything. So now if you see here, there are two windows in this particular position. So I'll just place two windows like this. Okay. So now if you go to 3D view once again, you can see that the windows have also been placed. This is one method of inserting a file. Now I'll show you another interesting method, which even it is not there in your academics as well. I'll show you that it's something which is very, very new. So it is called as point cloud method. So point cloud is this. This is a project which I worked in. This is a German project. It is a German botanical library. Sorry, not a garden. What do you do in this this particular project when this kind of a project is useful? So if it is a very old building, let's say the age of that building is some 200 years. Take the example of Taj Mahal. Okay, now you are a builder. Okay, let's say you get the contract of renovating a building like Taj Mahal. Okay, you get a contract of renovating the building like Taj Mahal. So as a contractor, you will be responsible for quoting the cost to the government. So government will ask you to quote a price for doing that renovation work, right? You understand what I'm telling you. So you will definitely have a lot of competitors for getting the job, right? You will have a lot of other builders and contractors competing with you. So as an builder, you will have to quote a certain price. So in order to quote that price, you should know exactly how much cost it will take to renovate that old building like Taj Mahal. Okay, so if you want to know the exact price that particular project will consume, you should have a proper plan for it. But imagine, do you think you will have a plan for Taj Mahal? No, definitely you will not have it, because it's almost 200 to 300 years of age. So definitely you will not have any paper plan. So if you want to get a paper plan, what you will do, you will go and do the measurings in the site. You will use the chain survey, or you'll do the tape survey, or you'll use all the basic methods. You will not readings. In that case, what we are using is we use something called point cloud. So what is a point cloud? You have an instrument like total station. We generally use lidar survey for this. Lidar is the survey which is done using laser beams. So what we do is we fix certain points around Taj Mahal, and what we'll do is we'll run a 360-degree scan in that Taj Mahal. Okay, you get my point. So we run a 360-degree. When I say 360-degree, it means both horizontal scanning and vertical scanning. So in that 360-degree scanning, in the which is done throughout the building, in all the directions of the building, when you run that scan, you get a series of points, some million number of points you'll get. If you accumulate all that points, you'll get a data, or you'll get the vector data of those points. Okay, so when you go get those vector data, what you'll be able to do is you'll easily calculate the measurements of that particular building, and you'll also be able to develop the 3D model of that particular building. Okay, so what you can do is I'll show you how that is being done. So I'll go to the same insert, but this time instead of inserting a CAD file, what I'll do is insert the point cloud file. Okay, this point cloud will be in .rcp format. So once the scanning and everything is done using that lidar survey, I can easily copy that data using a pen drive from that instrument. It will be like exactly like a total station. Okay, so once I copy all that instruments, okay, I'll just upload it in Revit. So this is that file. This is that botanical library in Germany. So if I click on open here, so it says that the accuracy will be from 2 mm to 5 mm. So this is that file. So now this is the floor plan of that particular building. So if I zoom here, you can see some dots here. So if I zoom it further, you can see it is nothing but collection of dots. Okay, sir, what will you do with this kind of a data? So what I'll do is, with my utmost patience, what I have to do is I have to slowly start tracing it. First, I'll identify the thickness of the wall. Finding the thickness of the wall is very, very easy. If somebody is there in that German site, he can easily give me the data of the thickness of the wall. So the moment he gives me the thickness of the wall, let's say I'm just roughly doing it, what I'll do is I'll just trace the plan like this. I'll just start tracing the plan like this. Okay, so the moment I start tracing the plan, what I'll be able to do is I can easily derive a basic outline of this particular model. Okay, I'm just doing it very roughly, but when you're working in real time, you have to spend in a lot of time to get the utmost accuracy. Okay, so now if you see it in 3D view, so 3D will be very fun. It will have all the window precisions and everything. So this is that data. This is what you will get by doing a LiDAR survey. This is nothing but points, collection of points. So this shows you the grooves also in the window. Okay, this is the kind of file you'll get in the end of the day by doing that LiDAR survey. So your job as a point cloud engineer is to slowly develop the 3D model. So now the wall which I drew will be over here. So you can see the wall that I drew over here. So it is somewhere over here. Should be somewhere. If I keep it in realistic view, you can see. So you can see that the wall which I drew will be over here. So you can see the wall here. So I'll have to completely trace all these things. I'll check the roof height and everything. If I go to elevation view, I can easily check the roof height and everything. So based on that, I'll do the complete model. So don't worry, they'll not ask you to do this project in a given 10 days or 20 days of time. They'll at least give you 1 month or 2 months of time. So for the whole 1 month or 2 months, you will sit and concentrate on this particular project. Okay, now getting back to here. So this is that model. So now I have developed the floor plan and I have clearly explained what is the cut plane value of this particular plan and how that cut plane works. Now you can see that the hatch pattern for the floor has been given as concrete. All that will be there. Now, taking the section is the most toughest part when you're working in AutoCAD. Now I'll show you how easier it is for you to take a section or develop a section in a 3D modeling software. So now you have an option called section here. So for that, you have to go to View tab. On the top, you have View menu tab. In that View menu tab, you can create how much ever views you want. In that, you have Create Panel over here. Okay. In this Create Panel, I'm again telling you, I'm not teaching you Revit here. I'm just showing you what can be done in Revit. But I need to go in a certain pace here. So in this Create Panel, you have something called Section. So you can decide where you want to take the section. Okay. Now, if you closely observe this plan, taking a section here is very, very easy. But taking a section in this particular point is you will have to show the window details, you'll have to show the door details, and you'll have to show the compound details. So I'm taking a section here. I'll slightly move the section like this. Okay. Now you can see some blue color dotted lines over here. This dotted line indicates the distance of the your viewing distance, your eyesight viewing distance. Now that is what this one is showing. So what I'll do, I'll reduce it to this portion here. Okay. Now, if you're wondering how tough it is for you to take the section and all, don't worry. When you're working in this kind of a huge projects, which I showed here previously in AutoCAD, in those kind of huge projects, you will not be imagining the section and drawing. You will just generate the section view from the 3D model. So now you have 3D model. I have extracted a section from this. So the moment I draw a section here, you can give a name for this particular section, saying it is AA or something like that. So the moment I draw a section line here, you can see that the section will be generated in this project browser. So this is the section I have generated. So I can rename it as section AA. Just like the way we saw in that plan, I can rename it as section AA. So now if I double click on the section AA, I can see the section view here. See, this is the section view I took over there. So now, so what should be the views that should be visible in the section view? I just need to have the ground floor. So what I'll do, I'll just crop the view to the ground floor around. See how easier it is for me to generate the section view. But this thing is not that easy in AutoCAD, but you'll do the same thing here. Okay. The most beautiful thing in this is that, so once you generate this view, it is very easy for you to export it to AutoCAD. That is the beauty of this modern day softwares. Okay, it is interoperable. So whatever I do in Revit, I have done the 3D modeling in Revit. I have even generated the section view. So now you can closely watch here. I'm going to show you the composition of the wall your senior has used. So I'll keep it in fine here. So the moment I keep it in fine, you can see the wall composition very clearly. So you can see. So somebody asked me, what is the use of giving it in wireframe, right? So if I give it in wireframe, you can see it like this. So when I'm giving it in realistic, you can see it materials given to it. So this is that wall putty, that white color putty they give before painting, right? So that is what is this layer. And this one here is the plastering mortar, and this one is the brick layer. Okay, and this one is the floor slab. And on top of the floor, he has given a tile here, brown color tiles he has given. Okay, so these are the different things you can see in a section view. The sole purpose of generating a section view is to see all these things. So now what I can do is, so the purpose of these drawings is to communicate with the person who's working in the site, the mason, the skilled laborers. So these skilled laborers, now they are capable of studying the drawing, something which we are not capable of the moment we finish graduation, right? After finishing graduation, we will not be able to study the drawings and all, but masons and skilled labor will be capable of studying the drawings. So how will they be capable of studying the drawings? So what should I give them? I have to give them the dimension for the erection of this particular building. So what I'll do, I'll just go and annotate it like this. In the section view, I'll just go and annotate this is the sill height of my window. So the sill height of the window for this particular building is 2 feet 11 inches, and the window's height is 5 feet 11 inches. And then on top of it, I'll give the lintel height. So this is how I take care of the section detailing. And then what I'll do is I can easily export it to AutoCAD. So you can see in File tab, when I go to export, I'll go to CAD formats. So I can easily export it to drawing file. So the moment I export it to drawing file, the best part is you'll also get all the layers attached to it. So the wall will be denoted in a different colored line. The windows will be denoted in a different colored line. Okay, so all these can be done. So my floor plan is done, and I've generated a section plan which talks about the details of all the wall composition and everything. If I want, I can even increase the height so that I can also include the section view of the first floor as well. Okay, so I can easily annotate the height and everything. So all the heights have already been annotated. If you want, you can enter the text and everything here. So this is the text this is how you can enter a text. I can say that I can enter a text saying that weather, WATHER, weatherproof roof. So I'm just giving a data saying that it's a weatherproof roof. Okay, so I'll just type it and it will be visible like this. Okay, all I need to do is I need to generate the views from the 3D model. Real projects are being worked. It's not like the way we are being taught in the college. Okay, whatever you learn in college is very, very basic. So it doesn't mean that you have to stop your learning there itself. It's your responsibility to learn that basics properly, and then you have to do your internships and all that, and learn the most advanced things. Okay, you can't blame the syllabus for that, because in a given time frame, whatever they are teaching is more than sufficient for you to learn the advanced things as well. But the problem with us is that we stop learning that basics itself completely. We learn only the 50% of the basics. So now in this particular project, we have the floor plan, we have the section plan. So if you're worrying about the elevation plan, don't worry, it's very easy. So I just need to go and click in the south elevation here. So the moment I click in the south elevation, for me, the south elevation is also ready. So I can just keep it in realistic view. Okay, sir. Now, since you told me that all the views are ready, how will you bring it to a printout format? So what I have to do is I have to select the sheet first. So what I'll do, I'll go to view tab here. In that I have something called sheet composition. So this is here. This is where I'll choose the size of my sheet, whether I'm going to choose A0 or A1, A2, A3, A4, whatever the size, I'll decide here. Okay. So now I'm choosing the A0 size, which is the biggest size sheet. Generally, we don't use this sheet, but I'm just using it here. Okay, this is the sheet. Here you can give your company logo. You can edit and you can give your company logo, and you can give all that engineer's details, project's name, all that is predefined here. And now what I can do is, all I need to do is I just need to drag and drop my view here on the sheet. So the moment I drag and drop it here, so I'll get the floor plan over here. Okay, I'm just doing it roughly now. So if I have time, I can show you how that arrangements and everything is being done. Okay, so now I just drop the view here. Okay, next what I need to do is, so my bad, I have to put the floor plan in the bottom. So I'll put the floor plan over here. Okay, next I exactly straight towards this, I have to create a what? I'll have to create a elevation view. So what I'll do, I'll just select the elevation view, drag it and drop it like this. So the moment you drop it layer, so I'll just move it using the cursor. So I can use any reference grids or something like that to place it in the straight line. Okay, right now I'm just roughly doing it. So it doesn't mean that this is how it will look like. So I'll just place a detail line from here. Okay, let's say this is the detail line which I'm going to use as a reference for moving my views. So I'll just move it like this. So now by moving it like this, I can easily place what? I can orient my elevation view and this thing. And now here exactly straight to this, I'm going to place a section view. Now I'll remove this detail line and instead I'll draw a horizontal detail line like this from on top of this. This is just for my reference purpose in order to align that section view. Okay, and then I have my detail line on the bottom. I'll draw a detail line this. So now I can clearly place my section view within this thing. So I'll just drag and drop my section view like this exactly. So I have my section view. Clear? Now what I'll do, I'll delete this. Now you might be wondering, okay, now right now I'm in Revit. So is it possible for me to export it to AutoCAD? I'll even export it and show it to you. Before winding up, I'll show you how to calculate the estimation for this model. So it will hardly take 5 minutes for me to do it. So I'm exporting it to DWG format here. Okay, so this is the sheet I will be exporting to DWG format. So I'll just give save and next. So just a moment. Export it to CAD format. In that I'll go to DWG. So I'll just click on next here. So the moment I click on next, it'll ask me where I want to save it. I'll just save it in my downloads folder. Okay, I'll just save it in my downloads folder. I've saved it in my downloads folder. So the moment I save it, I can find it in my downloads folder. I'll just share that screen now. So this is the downloads folder. So that drawing has been saved here. So now I'm going to double click it. So the moment I double click it, you can see the drawing files like this. Just a moment. I'll share the AutoCAD file here. So this is how you'll get the sheet over here. So you're able to see the AutoCAD file. So this is right now in the layout view. So this is in the layout view. So if you want to shift it to the model view, you can see it in the model view as well. So the model view will be like this. So this is the floor plan. So you can see all the layers have also been exported. So this is very rough actually. So before exporting it to AutoCAD, I'll make sure I delete all these things and all that, so that the view will be very clear. Now, the best part is you will also get the hatch pattern and everything here. So when you export it clearly, you will get the hatch pattern and everything. Okay. So if you want to even check the layers that have been imported, you can see it here. So all the layers will be exported. Clear? Now, finally, the main thing is to get the estimation. So what is the advantage of getting the right estimation is you will be able to charge the client in the right way. You can also consider your profit as well. So you can consider your profit, and then based on that, you will upsell the quotation. You'll quote an extra 10 or 20% in that, and then you'll quote the project. So in order to do that, you have to have the exact estimation of it. When I say estimation, there are two types of estimation. So I'll show you a sample estimation, which is very, very basic actually. So this is how an estimation will look like actually. The real commercial world, this is how an estimation will look like. So this is a very, very basic estimation. Don't think that this is how an estimation will look like. So this is a very basic estimation. This estimation consists of two parts. One is abstract and another one is detailed estimate. What you're seeing here is called as an abstract estimate. If you scroll down, you will be able to see the detailed estimate. So this one here is called the detailed estimate, where all the work will be split down into smaller parts and their units, the pricing, everything will be given. This is what is called as, it can be called in many names. Some call it as BOQ, which is nothing but bill of quantity. Some call it as material takeoff, MTO. This, in short, they'll call it as MTO. Some call it as estimation. Some call it as quantity surveying. So all these are nothing but the same thing. Okay, this is how an estimate will look like. So if you closely observe, this is always represented in a tabulation format. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you how it can be done in Revit. Okay, nobody will teach you this in Revit. When you go for a training center or something like that, they don't teach you to take an estimation in Revit. Okay, so most of the people who have already learned Revit, they would be wondering if it is possible for us to take estimation in Revit. Now I'm going to show you that. So on this project that is done by your senior, I have no idea how much number of bricks will this particular project consume. Okay, I clearly don't have any idea about it. Okay, when it comes to estimation, you will have to take the estimation of wall, floor, roof, ceiling, everything. Okay, so you'll have to calculate the number of bricks. You'll have to calculate the area that needs to be painted. Everything needs to be considered. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have given the relevant units here. All you need to do is just type units. I'm going to measure the length in terms of feet and inches. I'm going to measure the area in terms of square feet. I'm going to measure the volume in terms of cubic feet. These are the three things I need for calculating the brick estimation. The reason why I'm calculating the brick estimation is that is the most toughest thing to calculate. Okay, so I'm going to show you the most toughest estimation, and I'm going to show you how easily it is done in real world using Revit. Okay, now in that view tab, I have something called create panel. In that create panel, I have something called material takeoff. Okay, I'll just go and click on that. It's almost just 3 or 4 tools away. View tab, create panel, material takeoff. So what is the estimation I'm going to calculate? You can calculate all the estimations related to that building. For example, you can calculate the estimation of furnitures. You can calculate the estimation of doors used in that particular building. You can calculate the estimation of doors and windows, everything. Right now, walls estimation is the most toughest estimation. So what I'll do, I'll calculate the wall estimation. So the moment I select this walls, if I click OK, it will ask me whether I want the data of area of the wall, and then it will ask me whether I want the area material volume of the wall, and then it will ask me whether I want the data for what? It will ask me whether I want the data for total volume. Okay, I have selected area, and then I'll also select the wall's name. What is the name of that type of wall? Apart from this, I'm going to add a new parameter. Say I'm going to add number of bricks. This is not available in the given list in the software. In this list, you will not be able to find this attribute. So it says number of bricks. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to define a formula for it. So what I'm saying is, in order to calculate the total number of bricks that are being used in the wall, what we need to do, the data that we need to have is total volume of that particular wall. That is what we need. So that is being calculated by the software. So we did not break our head for that. So total volume of the wall divided by volume of one brick. So calculating the volume of one brick is not that tough task. What you can do is you can just take a brick in your hand, take a scale, just measure the depth, height, and width of the brick. So when you calculate the volume of one brick in terms of cubic feet, in terms of feet and inches, that's what is called as cubic feet. The value you'll be getting is 0.054. When you're studying engineering, the size of a brick you will be learning is 19 into 9 into 9 centimeter cube. Okay, 19 into 9 into 9 centimeter. So in terms of cubic feet, it is nothing but 0.054 cubic feet. Okay, so click on OK now, and then I'm going to calculate even the cost that this particular building will consume for bricks alone. Okay, let's say this for constructing this particular building, this complete building, it will cost me around 60 to 70 lakhs. Let's assume in that 60 to 70 lakhs, how much cost will be consumed by the brick alone? Okay, how much cost will be consumed by the brick alone? That's what we are going to calculate now. So what I'll do, I've given the number of bricks here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add another parameter called as cost for bricks. I'm just roughly doing it. As per today, if you're constructing a house in a rural area, the cost of bricks is from 5 rupees 50 paise to 6 rupees 50 paise to the max. If you're constructing a building in urban area, the cost of bricks is somewhere around 7 rupees to 8 rupees. So what I'll do is number of bricks into 7 rupees. Okay, number of bricks into 7. So I'll give OK here. So now I need to calculate the totals, and then I need to calculate the totals for cost here. Okay, and then I need to calculate for the total number of bricks here. Okay, so I've given all the required data for calculating the estimation for the model which we have here now. So what I'm going to see, it's quite very interesting. What we are seeing here is very easy, but in order to, the reason why it's appearing very easy is because we already know the basics. We'll be studying a subject called estimation and quantity surveying in either in your third year or in your final year. Okay, that is the very basics of estimation and quantity surveying. So only when you're able to, when you're capable of understanding the subject, you will be able to understand what I'm doing in this particular software now. Okay, So that is one of the very important papers that you will be studying in your academics. Okay, you'll be studying two methods. One is long wall and short wall method. Another one is center line method. These two methods you'll be studying theoretically. So if you have to estimate the wall for this particular plan, it will at least take half an hour for you if you're good in mathematics. If you're not good in mathematics, it will at least take 1 to 1.5 hours for you to calculate the estimation for this particular plan. But when you're using software, it hardly takes 5 minutes. So I'm just going to click OK here. So the moment I click OK, I'll get all the data that is required for me. So if I click OK here, you can see that the total number of bricks used for constructing this particular project is around 1,22,589 bricks. I'm talking about the compound wall. I'm talking about the basement brickwork. I'm talking about the ground floor, first floor, and then the roof, attic, and all that. So totally, the number of bricks consumed for this particular project is 1,22,589. So in that 50 to 60 lakhs of that whole cost of that particular project, bricks alone are consuming 8,58,125. Okay. Now, how is it different, or how is it great from doing it in software compared to doing it in the conventional ways? Now, let's say I'm showing this particular plan to a client. Okay, so he's the one who's asked me to construct this particular project. So let's assume that that client has come along with his wife. Okay, generally when there are a lot of opinions, right? You will come to know about this in the when you work as an engineer. So when a lot of opinions are pouring in, definitely there lot of changes will happen in a plan. Okay, so if a husband and wife are coming to meet an engineer, definitely some wife will also pour in some suggestions. So now let's say, for example, she's asking to do some changes in the plan. So I've already done all this model. I'm showing the model to that couple, and suddenly the wife says, I don't want, let's say for an example, I'm saying, I don't want a compound wall in this side. I just want to keep it open. Okay. Now you closely observe here, the total number of bricks given here is 1,22,589. Okay, remember this number. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a change in this particular plan. I'm going to delete this particular compound wall. So the moment I delete this compound wall, definitely the number of bricks would have reduced. Am I right? So if the number of bricks is reducing, obviously the cost will also vary. So what happens is, you can see that I'll go back to the estimation once again. You can see from 1,22,000, it has reduced to 1,15,107 number of bricks, and even the cost will also change because this number of bricks and the cost is interrelated using a formula. So now this tabular column that is being presented here, I can do what? I can export this to easily export this to Excel sheet. So all I need to do is go to File, go to Export, and in that I can just go and export it to Revit here. So I'll just go and export it to Revit. So now out of these people, if you are interested in getting a training or internship, you can easily contact us to this number, to our office. So if you have any doubts, we have been already giving internships to your final year students and all that. So I hope you're able to see the PPT here. So if you're interested in taking up an internship or training program, you can just contact me. So I've shared the number here. So this is the contact number for reaching us. So is the slide visible for you? So you can note down the numbers.
Yes, sir.
If you want to get an internship or training, something like that, you can call them. We'll get back to you after that. Okay. I hope this session wasn't boring on your holiday, especially that too in the evening time. So I hope something was learned out of this. I know I might have been a little bit fast because I wanted to cover a lot of things in the given short time. So I'll look forward to see you guys again in the future as well for another session or something like that. Is there any queries for you to ask, Ma? You can shoot your questions now. Any doubts or something like that? Yeah.
So in Revit, in one of the in the menu, sir, like we had options like windows, doors, and all, sir. Like what exactly are they, sir? Like, is there any specific template where we can just place doors or?
Exactly. When you go and select it, now I'll just share that screen. When I just go and select that screen, that tool, right? What happens is, so you have a tool here, door and all that. So there are some defined doors given here. You can see the drop down, some different types of doors that are given here. Okay. you can select any one door in that. For example, I'm saying, now let's say you don't want to use the door that is given in the software. You want to use some customized door. So how can you customize the door? You can change the size of it. You can change the thickness of it. Am I right? Or sometimes you can change the material of it. So what you can do is you can go into it. You have an option called edit type. In that you can change its width and all that. So don't worry about the software. So if you want to master Revit, you have to at least spend 25 hours of training. Okay, so don't worry about the software. So if you have any doubts in the concept or something like that, you can ask me. Okay, so in Revit, actually what you do in Revit is before constructing a project in the real time. So before constructing a project in site, before starting the project in site, 1 month before that, 1 or 2 months before that, what we'll do is we'll sit and model that in the software. So when I say modeling it, you're covering almost completely everything related to that particular project. So for example, you'll by modeling it, you'll clearly know what type of a wall, what type of door, what type of window that will come, what is the size of all these things, what are the material composition of all these things. When I just took a section view, you were able to see the material composition as well. For example, I'm just selecting this wall. You can see it in this particular thing. If you select this particular wall, and if you just go to edit type, and if you want to see the composition of the wall, you can see what Giri has done. He has given so many layers. He has given white cement. He has given plastering mortar. He has given brick. He has given plastering mortar and everything. So when I select it, you can see even that gets selected here as well. Okay, so you can see that. So the moment I select it, you can see different compositions here. So what does this teach us? These are all the information related to that particular model. So that is why this is called as building information modeling. So when I say building information modeling, this particular building contains all the information that is required for constructing the project in the real time. Okay, you can name any information. You can question me any information. I can easily derive that information from this particular model. Okay, it is the most realistic prototype of what is going to be constructed. Okay, for example, in the section view we saw that he has used tiles, right? Okay, so what I will do is I'll just check how the tiles will look like. I'll just place a camera view like this, and I'll see how the tiles will look like. So I'll see if he has really placed that brown tiles. So now you can see he has really placed that brown tiles. Clear? So it will have all the information that are required to do it in the site. So that is why it is called as building information modeling. So when I'm placing a window, right? So if I have placed a camera in the living room, I just need to know the specification of this particular window. Who's the manufacturer? What is the dimension of that window? What is the name of that window? I'll just select it. I'll just go to edit type. So in this, I'll have all the information. So I'll have the width, the height, and everything. I'll see who's the manufacturer of that particular window. For example, I want to know the information of this particular sofa here. So whether I bought it from pepperfry.com or IKEA, I can just go to edit type and can see who's the manufacturer. That information are not given here, but if you want, I can just type it as IKEA. This is a Swedish furnishing company, so I'll just type it here. So once I type it and I save it, so anyone who clicks on this furniture, he can go and see that it is a product of IKEA. That's all. Okay, this is what is called as building information modeling. So whatever you see here is just a template that is given, and you can also customize the template. It's very easy for you to. One day is sufficient for me to teach you how to draft a building plan like this. But generally, by learning Revit, you'll be working in projects like this, not in projects like this. You'll be working in real-time projects like this. This is the real-time project that we worked in Sharjah. I'll just show you. So this is the project you'll be working in. So we'll be giving a training in 2 levels for you. So level 1 and level 2. Okay, right now Giri is undergoing level 2 training. So in level 1 training, we'll be teaching you all the softwares actually. Completely, we'll be teaching you the softwares. A to Z, we'll teach you the softwares. And in level 2 training, that is your internship, what we'll be doing is, we'll be giving this. You can see the PDF file, I guess. This is a luxury lounge in Sharjah. The client time of around 30 days. Okay, within 30 days, you have to complete this project. So you'll have to first go through the project and you'll start doing it. Now, if you're able to draft a plan like this in Revit, if you're able to model a plan like this in Revit, is it difficult for you to do a plan for a residential building? No, right? It is very easily done, right? So in 30 days, if you're able to do this particular project, you can easily get recruited in any company after that. So this is what we'll do in level 2 training. So in our training agenda, we'll be having 2 levels of training. In first level, we'll be completely teaching you the software, and in second level, we'll be giving you a project like this, live projects like this. Okay. Any other doubts?